What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Radiovania, episode number 16, your nerdy public radio for all things entertainment and pop culture. My name is Zach Rotello. I'm your host. Sitting across from me is @dat John Parker. John Parker, how you doing?
How's it going?
It's going well. How you doing?
Good.
Doing good. We're excited. I think we're in a good mood this week. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
We've had some busy weeks. Maybe work got you down. You got the working blues.
Yeah, a little, but with school being over, it's not as bad. So.
Kind of get to balance that time.
Yeah.
You made a very salient point to me earlier. You said, to be young and play video games all the time.
Yeah. That'd be great.
That'd be great. We got a great show for you guys today. If you didn't know, Radiovania is just us hanging out. We talk about the news. We talk about the hot topics and news and entertainment and pop culture that you guys want to hear about. And if you want to get in touch with us, there's a lot of ways you can do that. You can go to Twitter @Radiovania. You can go to Facebook and find us there, although our Facebook thing is not super active, but I do post all the links to the shows on there. You can go to iTunes and rate and review the show. 5-star rating and a review would be really awesome if you guys could do that for us. Really helps us get the word out. And you can follow the show @Radiovania, email the show, radiovaniashow@gmail.com. You can tweet me @Zachratello, and you can tweet John @dat John Parker. So John, we got a great show for you today.
Yeah, we got a good lineup.
Yeah, good lineup. Lots of good little news stories. It's actually a smaller hot topics list, but we've got two big topics to talk about. We're going to talk about Disney and their gaming line and what that means going forward, and we're going to talk about the release of Uncharted, which charted this Tuesday. That was Tuesday, May 10th. So before we get into the news, before we get into the hot topics, John, did you play through Uncharted 4, A Thief's End?
Yes, I finished it last night. So.
Oh boy. Can't wait to start talking about this one.
It is so great. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll get to there.
We will. Let's start off the hot topics list by talking about money. How about that money? From Hollywood Reporter, box office says Captain America Civil War opens to a mighty $181.8 million in U.S. and hits $768 million globally. The superhero tentpole is assured of becoming the first title of 2016 to cross $1 billion, continuing Disney's domination. Elsewhere, Mother's Day makes something of a comeback in its second weekend, timed to the actual holiday. Marvel Studios and Disney's Captain America Civil War launched to a mighty $181.8 million in North America over the weekend, kicking off the summer box office in high style and scoring the fifth best opening of all time, as well as the top launch of 2016 to date. Overseas, where it bowed last weekend, Civil War took in another $220 million, including $96 million for China, and for a foreign total of $496.6 million, and a worldwide haul of $67.8 million in just 12 days of its release. How does that set with you?
I mean, I'm not really that surprised. It's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It's just the summer movie to go to right now.
Mm-hmm. It's the first big blockbuster
of the year.
It
is the first big blockbuster of the year. Mm-hmm. But Deadpool turned into a blockbuster. So
it did turn into that. That was a sleeper hit, you know? Like, I don't think people were expecting Deadpool to do quite the numbers that it did, but I do think they underestimated the pull of an R-rated superhero movie, and it was kind of the zeitgeist.
Yeah, I saw an interesting graph that was Deadpool made more money than each individual release of all the X-Men movies. So there's there's 7 X-Men movies, and Deadpool made more money than all of them. Not combined,
that's amazing.
But when you compare them side to side.
Huh. Well, in terms of opening weekend rankings, says the Hollywood Reporter, Civil War shot past Iron Man 3, which had $174 million, and came in at number 5 behind Star Wars The Force Awakens, that had $248 million. Jurassic World, and then the Avengers, and Avengers Age of Ultron, which is the least with $191.3 million, not accounting for inflation. Put another way, Disney claims 4 of the 5 top openings, and Jurassic World was released by Universal. So,
boy, Universal really lucked out on that one.
Seriously, and that's still like we never really talked about Jurassic World on the show, but yeah. I cannot fathom how that movie made that much money. It was not that good.
Dinosaurs sell tickets, man. The Joker, dinosaurs, Transformers.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of things that it's just the fact that that's in the movie.
I also think that the pull of Chris Pratt was probably huge.
Yeah, I mean he's still on his high horse, so that definitely helps.
Is he though? Like, I mean, since Jurassic World was the last big Chris Pratt thing, I guess we're just gearing up for Guardians 2, right? He's not doing anything else of consequence.
I mean, he was still in Parks and Rec.
That's true. But that ended last fall?
Huh.
Last summer?
Maybe.
Somewhere around there.
So, same time as Jurassic World.
Yeah. Well, interesting nonetheless. Disney's still raking in that movie. We'll see how long they can go making that much movie.
Money.
Making that much money. Thank you. Again, from The Hollywood Reporter, Lupita Nyong'o in talks to star in Black Panther. This is an exclusive from them, and it says, Lupita Nyong'o, who won an Oscar for her performance in 12 Years a Slave, is in negotiations to star opposite Chadwick Boseman in Marvel Studios' Black Panther. Ryan Coogler, who wrote and directed Creed, is helming the comic book movie, as well as writing the script. Now, did you see Creed?
No, we talked about this on the Oscar show.
Did we talk about this on the Oscar show? I feel like I should watch
Creed. I saw The Force Awakens and Mad Max.
Yeah.
I still have it. I really want to watch Creed because I like Rocky. So.
Rocky never super resonated with me, but I like Stallone.
Yeah.
Nyong'o's character has not been revealed, although she will be the Black Panther's love interest, according to The Hollywood Reporter. So knowing you, our resident comic book expert, John Parker, who's Black Panther's love interest in the comics?
I know of one, but I don't know who like his original one was. But I know that after a while, him and Storm from the X-Men get together for a long time. Yeah, they're both from like tribal regions of Africa and stuff like that, and so they connect, and they're a hot topic for a long time.
Interesting.
But since X-Men's with Fox, I can't see her being Aurora Monroe.
Black Panther has a February 2nd, 2018 release date, with production set to start in early 2017. So what do you think that means for Infinity War? Do you think that's, I don't know, I mean, do you think that Nyong'o could be in Infinity War, or is she just probably just a minor?
I think if anyone
character
in that movie is going to be in Infinity War, it's going to be just Black Panther.
Okay.
And then depending on if Bucky is in Black Panther, because spoilers at the end of Civil War, the mid-credits tease is them putting the Winter Soldier back on ice, hiding out in Wakanda to keep him away from Hydra. So we'll see.
Ooh, that could be interesting. I didn't even think about that.
He could be in that movie. Yeah, because
so.
If they're not doing any more Cap movies, but they want to keep developing that character to be Captain America or something else, depending on if they do that, which I highly doubt that they will.
I think you made a good point when we were talking about Civil War, and spoilers for Civil War, skip forward 30 seconds, but in the end, when they do freeze him, you made a good point where it's like Steve Rogers didn't die like we had bet, like our drink bet, but it would have been an interesting thing to have him die while he was in cryo and you couldn't get to him.
How emotional would that scene
It would have been really good.
Crazy.
But it wouldn't have been good as a post-credits,
No.
I think it would have been a little bit too teasy.
Yep.
I do think that is a good way.
That would have been like the Game of Thrones Season 5 cliffhanger.
I think that could be a good cliffhanger for Infinity War Part 1.
Cap dying,
because I think I really do think that that's how you transition from Part 1 to Part 2, is you got to have an inciting incident to keep them, and it can't just be Thanos lands on Earth or something like that. I really do think it's a poignant character
because we've
death.
Seen Thanos before, so showing us Thanos in the movie wouldn't be that special, because we saw him for like 5 minutes in Guardians, like full, like speaking, sitting, doing all his stuff.
Well, he wasn't walking around. We've only seen him move once.
We've seen him move to pick up the gauntlet without the gems, so he's coming. Hopefully he's good.
He is coming, and I'm hopeful for
Marvel's
those movies,
like
but
2 for 10 on MCU villains right now, so
seriously,
let's go 3 for 11.
Who's 2 for 10?
I would say Loki, and I'd say Zemo.
Zemo was good. The more I think about it, the more I like Zemo. And I do like Daniel Bruhl, so.
I guess I also like Obadiah from Iron Man.
Oh, that's true. Jeff Bridges, excellent. Not a traditional villain, that Jeff Bridges, but played a good one in Iron Man 1, I thought.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
On May 11th, 2016, the Jimmy Kimmel Late Night Show premiered the Assassin's Creed trailer, a hotly anticipated movie based on the long-running game series. In fact, I would say too long-running. Have you ever played an Assassin's Creed game?
I played a little bit of Black Flag.
Okay, the pirate
I didn't play the first 3.
I would say Black Flag was my favorite.
I've heard that one's one of the better ones.
It's still not great. I still think the game plays not fabulous. It's a little clunky. Mm-hmm. We'll get to this in a little bit, but I think where Uncharted nails the parkour kind of climbing, I think Assassin's Creed kind of sucks at it.
Yeah.
I think it's a little clunky, but the trailer, Michael Fassbender, that sure is a trailer for a movie, isn't it?
He's great.
It doesn't look
The movie itself
fabulous.
Doesn't look great, but Fassbender sells tickets, I think.
The opening scene with him in the Animus is interesting. It's not how I pictured it, but when they do transition to the Spanish Inquisition, I gotta admit, like, the scenery is gorgeous, and The set design is really cool. The costumes are cool. I like how Fassbender looks. And like right here, they're showing like scenes of this like gigantic battle. Mm-hmm. If the movie kind of, I'm worried that the movie's going to come. You remember Prince of Persia, the classic film Prince of Persia starring Jake Gyllenhaal? Yeah, I wanted that movie to be better than it was.
Yeah, it was entertaining.
I did think that where that movie suffered was that it tried to be a little too cartoony. Mm-hmm. So my hope is that they learn from that with Assassin's Creed and they make it a little bit more grounded.
I think it will be. This is definitely a game that you could do that on. So.
I think so too. And from judging with this, you got like explosions, you've got this Kingsguard, you've got him in chains, and the fight scenes do look really good. I think if anything, this is just going to be a 2-hour long
fun action movie set in a different time.
You know what? They don't need to do anything special to get me in the movie. I think Fassbender just needs to be Fassbender.
He needs to be Magneto.
He just needs to be cool. I mean, Fassbender's always cool in all of his movies. Yeah. So I think if this movie, you know, if it stays true to the game at least a little bit, and like I don't even remember the story for the first one, but as long as it stays true to the whole, like, you know, it's a very intrigue kind of thing. It's very political. The assassins versus the Templars. I think it could actually turn out to be good. I don't think there's any prayer of this movie being great. Speaking of video game movies, would you rather get bombed for Ghostbusters or Warcraft? Dude, I think I'd rather get bombed for Ghostbusters because I think there's at least a chance of us laughing through it. I think if we get bombed for Warcraft, it's going to be... We're going to want to leave. I think so, too. I think that movie's going to be too... Do we know how long that movie is? I feel like that movie's going to be like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. If it's over 2 hours, that's going to be rough. But if it's like an hour 40... Maybe. Yeah. We could just do it twice. We could get bombed and go see 2 movies. Ooh. Are you not feeling up to it? No, I'm up to it. I'm down for the challenge. Down to clown on some Warcraft? Oh, no. From PlayStationUniverse.com, it says, ouch, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare trailer hits 1.4 million dislikes. Activision's debut trailer for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which we discussed last week, has gotten off to a rather poor start with viewers, with the teaser notching up over 1.4 million dislikes on YouTube. The trailer has gathered over 285,000 likes, although this pales in comparison to Battlefield 1's debut trailer, which has pulled in over 1 million likes, set against just over 21,000 dislikes. It's doubtful this is worrying Activision, though, as the studio said just last week that the Call of Duty brand is stronger than it's ever been. In addition, the publishing powerhouse also noted that Black Ops 3 didn't exactly get a warm reception last year, but went on to sell extremely well. So I think this is interesting. I just wanted to bring this up quickly because we both watched both the trailers, right? Like you saw the Infinite Warfare trailer with the space and then the Modern Warfare tease. So the Battlefield 1 trailer showcases, cinematic combat. Yeah, obviously it talks about, the trailer kind of gives you the impression of World War I, but it is a little bit more exciting than I think World War I would have been in the time, obviously. But, they got to do something to make it an action game because Battlefield is an action game. And if you're going from... And the thing is that with Infinite Warfare going so futuristic, it does give a lot of parity setting this one in World War I because now it's like it's the battle. For a while, it's just been like, okay, you got 2 war games. They're kind of modern, whatever. But now it's this one's hyper future. This one is hyper past. And it's like, who's going to win? Who's going to win the fight? But what did you think of the visuals in the trailer? I mean, does the setting entice you? No, yeah. World War I think, is an interesting, venue to jump into for a Battlefield game or even any type of war video game in this modern video game era. I'm excited that they're going back because I really enjoyed Call of Duty in its heyday. Same. Like with World War II games and even the early World at War. Yeah. And even like Black Ops, with stuff in like the 50s and 60s. So it's cool. I would be able to make a better judgment after I see some gameplay. That's the point that I brought up. That's just a cinematic trailer. So shout out to @HardAsMike on Twitter. Very excited about the Battlefield 1 trailer. Texted me about it when the trailer launched, and he's obviously really excited about it. He's all in. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to buy a whole year of PlayStation Plus for this," and I'm like, "I'm going to hold off until I see gameplay," which I'm assuming E3. Yeah, and that's going to be awesome. And I'm excited to do Radiovania during E3 because we just get to talk about all the and video game news that we just get to read through, and it's going to be, I think that's going to be a great time. But obviously we'll get to see the game is available worldwide on October 21st of this year. We'll see gameplay, we'll see what the multiplayer looks like, and that I'm really interested to see how that's going to work because I've never really been into Battlefield. I've always felt the more arcadey style multiplayer shooters. So Battlefront appealed to me because of the gameplay. I thought that Advanced Warfare, Call of Duty games appeal to me more in the multiplayer sense. Right now, Uncharted multiplayer is really hooking me, just because it is arcadey, it's fast, and with Battlefield, you're dropped into a giant map, and it takes me forever to find someone, and when I do, I'm killed. And it's just like, it's just live, die, repeat, and it's just, I get tired of it after a while. So I'm hoping to see maybe just a little bit smaller maps.
Yeah.
But we'll see. With Trench Warfare, this could go pretty much anywhere. Speaking of Battlefront, John, from Polygon.com on May 10th from Samit Sarkar, Star Wars Battlefront sequel is coming in 2017. Electronic Arts plans to release a follow-up to last year's Star Wars Battlefront sometime in 2017, the publisher announced today during Investor Call. The Star Wars Battlefront sequel wasn't listed on EA's slate of announced titles for its 2017 fiscal year, which suggests the game will be released sometime from April to December of next year. EA's 2017 fiscal year ends in March. EA said in an earnings release today that it has shipped over 14 million copies of Battlefront, which was released last November on PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One. Quote, "We'll most likely have one Star Wars title a year for the next 3 to 4 years," end quote, said Blake Jorgensen, EA's chief financial officer, during the call. The only Star Wars game that EA has announced for a 2016 release is a Star Wars Battlefront experience for PlayStation VR. In addition, Battlefront developer EA DICE is working on 3 additional expansion packs for the game. The only other game that they have listed right now that people know about, like in detail, is from Amy Hennig, who led the Uncharted series, is the creative director on the title for Visceral Games. That's the same people that made Battlefield Hardline and the Dead Space series. Mm-hmm. So earlier today, in fact, in the car, we were going to get some Taco Bizzle, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about how we felt that, both of us are Star Wars fans through and through.
Absolutely.
You're more of a Star Wars fan than I am, just in terms of
absolutely,
just the obsession with it, right? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And we both picked up Battlefront day one. I loved Battlefront, but
for 2 months,
I didn't feel like I personally got my money's worth out of it.
No.
But as a hardcore Star Wars fan who did spend, how much was it on the DLC and the game?
So I got the season pass for Christmas, so I didn't actually spend money on it. Mm-hmm. But the season pass was priced retail at $49.99.
Okay.
So the game's $59.99. The pass is $49.99. So that's $110 for a game that doesn't have a campaign.
Yeah. And not to say that campaign is the most important thing, because I do think that the gameplay in Battlefront is polished. The maps are beautiful.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Great design. But have you felt like even with the additional maps and characters that you've gotten your money's worth?
I might after all the DLC comes out, but that's, as of right now, with just the Outer Rim expansion, no.
And that's a long ways off until all the DLC is complete.
Yeah.
When's the last pack coming out, supposedly?
The last DLC comes out at the beginning of 2017.
Spring of 2017?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, because we have Bespin this summer, Death Star around Christmas, and then what a lot of people are assuming to be a Rogue One themed expansion in spring of 2017.
Well, 14 million copies of Battlefront is a lot. I mean, that's a lot of copies.
Definitely sold.
So it's sold. It's successful. Good for them. But I think complaints were arisen. Mm-hmm. I think when they announced this, they really kind of irritated me, because even though they are bringing DLC all the way to spring, the thing with me is that I'm comparing Battlefront a lot to Destiny. And I know you haven't played any Destiny, but it started off really rocky in its first year. There was not much to do. The missions I finished in a day or two, and the main story was over, and it was kind of lackluster. But the multiplayer was great. The PvP and the PvE was so great that I just kept coming back to it. And after a year, they did 3 expansions that made it a hell of a lot of difference. Just so much stuff. And it was awesome. And Battlefront hasn't done that. And it's not that I don't think that DICE and the developers are lazy, because I don't want to insinuate that at all. They're not lazy.
Each map has so much detail into it. You know what I mean?
They must spend so much time working every single inch of those maps, and I really respect them for it. It's just fascinating to me how they mapped out the way that this game was going to go. I wonder what they thought the reception was going to be, basically, is what I think.
I don't know. We'll find out. Hopefully, 2 improves on the mistakes, if you will. And
it didn't have many mistakes. I just think that it needed...
just as in a not complete game when it comes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And I do think that the sequel will be great, and I really hope that they visit, as much as I have distaste for the prequels, I do think that it would be cool to have some older stuff in there from episodes 1, 2, and 3.
I would love to play as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And I would love to have Force Awakens stuff and maybe episode 8 stuff, even though that, and
hopefully just the next game just needs more.
It does.
And
that's, I know that sounds selfish.
If it's releasing in 2017, I don't think it will. I think that's too soon. So there's no way that they already have a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? So it'll probably be 2017. This one will probably be The Force Awakens and Episode 8 rendered.
But a Star Wars game every year for the next 4 years. How does that sit with you? Do you think you're going to get Star Wars game fatigue as well as movie fatigue?
I'm more of a casual gamer. But yeah, I think even then, it'd just be the fact that there's just so much. Kind of like how I got burned out from Call of Duty after a while because one came out every year. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Hopefully my love with Star Wars will outweigh all the stuff that comes out. As long as everything's good, that's a perfect world.
Staying on the video game news, these are your Pokemon Sun and Moon starters. From Brian Ashcroft on Kotaku. Says, is this what you've been waiting for? Well, here you go. Your Pokemon Sun and Moon starters, Rowlet, Litten, and Poplio. But who is who? This is Rowlet. The grass quill Pokemon can attack without making a sound and twist its neck around 180 degrees to see behind itself.
Yeah!
Yeah, boy! So he's a little owl. He's 1 foot tall.
Grass and flying?
Yeah, grass flying. Ability Overgrow, which I'm not sure what that means.
Every grass Pokemon has that. It's just, it ups grass powered moves.
Oh, really?
Special attack boost.
Litten.
Litten! It's about to give birth!
I know, this is my dude, right here.
Litten.
Fire Cat Pokemon that can attack with, wait for it, flaming hairballs.
Yo!
Category, Fire Cat Pokemon, height 1 foot 4 inches, weight 9.5 pounds, type Fire, ability Blaze. So you got pictures of him coughing up fur balls that are made of fire and molten magma. And finally, we have...
His final stage has got to be cool. It's got to be like a fire lion.
I'm so excited, yeah. I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. And finally, we have Sea Lion Pokemon Poplio. Better at moving on water than dry land, Poplio can also do tricks and snort out water bubbles. 1 foot 4 inches, 16.5 pounds, type water, ability Torrent. You and your starters will explore, train, and battle on this island, which is done in a Hawaiian motif. And I believe the name is the Alola region. Yeah, the location Sun and Moons appears to be Alola. So right off the bat, how are you feeling about the location is what I want to know.
Location. It looks good. I like the region design. The map looks cool. Lots of water, which I liked a lot, kind of like the Hoenn region.
Both of us still not a fan of the art style.
No,
I really do wish they would.
That's just something that they're not going to go back.
No, it's like they've passed the amendment. You know, once you pass the amendment, it's hard to take it away. I think they're just going to keep going down this rabbit hole, which I think is ultimately good for when we get the NX Pokemon game or whenever it fucking finally comes, where they decide to do a Pokemon game that's full 3D, full open world, yada yada yada. That's what I'm looking forward to. But for now, we got to stick with these. And my problem with X and Y, I didn't bother with Heart Ruby or whatever it was called.
Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Just because I love Ruby and Sapphire so much, and if I wanted to play those games, I'd play them the way they were meant to be played on the Game Boy Advance.
Exactly.
Where they look the best. Yes. I do not like the 3D, at least on the 3DS, where it looks terrible.
Yeah.
It looks terrible. At least with the Alola region, it looks like there's a lot of color. It looks like the character models are even a little bit better designed.
This just looks like it's a game meant for console. That's the problem.
I do agree.
We're not going to keep bashing Nintendo, but get your shit in order.
Seriously, I'm going to keep bashing Nintendo. They do need to get their ducks in a row in terms of their console. And
nice pull on the fucking metaphors.
Yeah, seriously. But this E3, man, is just going to be so fascinating because we got Zelda. And we got Pokemon, right? I think that's about it. Because then you got Paper Mario, but no one's going to care.
I am excited about Zelda, though.
I'm excited, too.
I'm going to buy an NX just to get Zelda, because I'm a huge Zelda fan. So
I'm going to buy an NX.
This is probably going to be the most beautiful Zelda game ever, so I'm excited.
Well, we will have word on that when we get around to E3, because I don't know if you read about this, and I decided not to put it in the Hot Topics list, but on the first day of the conferences, I believe, I think it's June 14th or something like that, instead of doing their video, Zelda, they're going to do a live stream of Zelda, like a long live stream. And that kind of scares me because as a reviewer that I listened to put it really well, part of the magic of Zelda is experiencing the world for yourself and exploring it. And so if you get a lot of it kind of ruined for you with other people playing it, I don't know.
You know what we're going to call this? The Batman v Superman syndrome.
Ooh. Where BVS syndrome?
The BVS syndrome. You're worried that your product isn't going to make money and isn't going to get people to get it.
So you show too much?
So you show too much and ruin it.
Yeah.
Stop while you can.
I know. Seriously, man. I wish that we could have a megaphone and just shout to Nintendo because...
I'd have to go really far. Like 6,000 miles.
Yeah, seriously. And we're going to get to our first big story of the show. And John, settle in for a nice, healthy talk because I do want to discuss this with you.
Sure.
From The Hollywood Reporter, it says Disney falls short of earnings expectations despite Star Wars. The Walt Disney Company fell short of quarterly financial expectations even after garnering a massive haul from Star Wars The Force Awakens, the company said Tuesday, causing the stock to fall 7% after the closing bell. Also tucked into the earnings report was the fact that Disney discontinued its self-published video game business, including its once popular Disney Infinity franchise, and took a $147 million charge for doing so. The strategy going forward will be to license its properties to other game makers, and the move has cost 300 people their jobs. The conglomerate reported $1.36 per share in earnings after some items and a revenue of $13 billion. Disney was expected to show 12% profit growth of 6% to $13.2 billion. So I did want to give my condolences to the team that worked on it. I do think that, it's a tragedy when something like this happens, and game developers shut down a lot, especially when the jump to consoles. But being this in the middle of the console cycle with other Toys to Life games being so successful, we'll see if they're successful. But,
yeah, we'll take a look at those numbers. I thought Disney Infinity was the most successful.
Same
and
here.
I think it is.
Same
it's just weird that in the midst of all the success that Disney has, their game company crashes and burns.
Yeah, I think it does go to show you that no one's infallible.
That's true.
That's true. And especially in a games market, it's so crazy because games cost so much to make, and people take that for granted. Like, I can't even fathom how much money it costs to make Uncharted 4. And we'll get to that when we get to it, but Naughty Dog rarely has layoffs, and Naughty Dog is a Sony-owned studio. Disney Interactive, right, like the Disney Studios, was owned by Disney, one of the most profitable companies in the world. From GamesRadar.com by Connor Sheridan, I wanted to read the official PR bump. Said Disney Infinity was a massive investment into the Toys to Life genre, and figurines just representing everyone's from Frozen's Elsa to Star Wars The Force Awakens Finn were ubiquitous whether toys and video games were sold. But an internal memo reportedly sent out to Disney employees says the company could no longer justify investing in Infinity with growth in the genre leveling off. This comes from the Infinity Inquirer on Twitter. It says the team behind Disney Infinity created an incredible product. It was a critical success that inspired a deeply engaged community of players. But despite Disney Infinity's quality, it has become difficult to financially justify continued investment given the lack of growth in the Toys to Life market. Coupled with high development costs, the economics of our current vertical business model no longer add up. Disney Infinity is no more, they read. #Disney Infinity. So, according to Disney, and I don't have the official, I don't have numbers, right? I don't have any specific numbers because you have Skylanders and Lego Dimensions. And as you pointed out, like Lego Dimensions is solid booked on the shelves everywhere we go, right? I never see people buying it. I hardly see any people playing it.
I love Lego games, but we're going to call it the Disney Star Wars syndrome.
Sure.
Too much. One a year is too much. It's just too much.
Yeah, and with the Toys to Life thing, I think it was probably a smart move for Disney to jump on that bandwagon. But I think like a lot of other bandwagons, and I think that
they did it the best too.
I agree.
And from what I've heard, I haven't heard a whole lot about Skylanders, but from what I heard about Lego Dimensions is that it's just kind of like a Lego game that you have to pay to play each character with.
Yeah. And I've not played Lego Dimensions, so I don't know how good it actually is.
Yeah.
But I've heard Lego Dimensions is really good in terms of like every expansion pack being worth the money. Mm-hmm. One of the problems I had with Infinity was that I did not feel that a lot of the playsets and the characters were worth their money, and they were expensive.
Yeah, especially when you botch the Force Awakens story.
What's interesting to me is that the Inquirer says that it has become difficult to financially justify continued investment given the lack of growth in the Toys to Life market. So, correct me if I'm wrong. But I do think that this might be one of the cases of, because the thing says, given the lack of growth. So obviously it's not getting any bigger. It's not getting any better.
I think the game's getting better, but the market is not.
But it's, with Disney, it's all about money. And that's not to say that they don't care about quality, because they obviously did. The Disney Infinity games were good. I mean, they were polished and well-designed. They ran like shit on your Wii U. But,
that's why I upgraded the PlayStation 4, and it runs like a perfect machine.
It's just like a charm. But I do think that...
the PlayStation 4 is Jesus.
It is. It really is. It works wonders. It's great. I do think, though, that this might just be one of the cases where it's like the market isn't lowering, but I do think that Disney probably saw it and they were like, we're not making that much money, so let's just axe it, which is sad.
They're not making $1 billion like Star Wars or Civil War.
Yeah. According to the Disney Interactive blog, Disney Infinity will get 2 final retail sets, an Alice Through the Looking Glass pack later in May and a Finding Dory playset in June. Disney did not publicly say what its withdrawal from the market means for the employees of Disney Interactive, but I would expect, says this article writer, major layoffs if they haven't already begun. With Infinity gone, both Skylanders and LEGO Dimensions remain as major toys-to-life contenders, also Nintendo's Amiibos, kind of. I would disagree completely with that.
I think those are desk toys.
Amiibo, I have not even touched an Amiibo to my gamepad since I bought them, and I have 4.
The gamepad sucks.
It does. As for other console games, Disney plans to focus solely on licensing out its properties from now on. So I want to ask you a couple questions about what you think about all this.
Sure. Also, after you just mentioned it, I'm a little disappointed in the 2 playsets that they've chosen.
As Finding Dory and Alice Through the Looking Glass?
Yeah.
Finding Dory could be cool, given if the movie is good, but...
The movie, I think, will be fine.
I'm so worried about that movie. That's a movie that didn't need a sequel. You know what?
You know what, though? That movie's going to make a crap ton of money.
So much money.
Like, Disney...
They're going to be rolling in it.
owns 2016, okay? With the exception of Deadpool and BVS, I can't see a lot of movies rivaling it at the box office. Finding Dory is going to make a lot of money. Civil War is going to make a lot of money. Doctor Strange will probably make a lot of money.
Doctor Strange
and Rogue One is going to make so much money. 4.
Cash money.
They need an Oscar for the most profitable movie
That's
production
a genius
studio.
idea. Yeah. No, that definitely sounds.
We should do an award show at the end of the year. The Radiovania award show.
I do think that's a great idea.
The greediest bastards out there, Disney, for the 4th year in a row.
That is a great idea.
Yeah. But anyway, go back to what you were talking about.
Well, I don't know. Basically, I just wanted to gauge your thoughts on this and, like, what do you think?
What I want to know is, it's Disney Interactive Studios, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they're... I guess they're technically still referred to as Disney Interactive. But I'm trying to think of, like, what other games has Disney Interactive put out since Epic Mickey, right? I think that was the last one. Kingdom Hearts.
Like, how does this play into Kingdom Hearts 3? When you told me about this, like, I like Infinity, but I have it. So, like, just because they're not making it anymore doesn't mean I don't have a lot of opportunity to explore the game that's out.
Sure.
When you were talking about this, I'm worried about Kingdom Hearts 3, a game that has been on the table for forever that I've actually been looking forward to because I like that series a lot.
I don't think you need to worry because I think that...
Square Enix is going to take care of it?
Yes. Yeah. What they talked about in the article is that Disney's not going to publish their games anymore, which means that Disney, as a company, is not working on games. They're licensing their properties.
Gotcha.
They're saying, hey, DICE, go make a Mickey Mouse game and have fun with it, right?
That game, that multiplayer would be terrible.
Make it get down!
Okay, if it was like that, I would play it for sure. Yeah. That sounds incredible. World War II Mickey.
Oh, I've been shot!
Confetti's coming up.
Yeah. I honestly think that them license... It sucks that Disney Infinity's devs had to be shut down and fired. But I honestly do think that the silver lining is that companies that really care about Disney properties are going to be able to say, hey, us, give us this property.
Yeah.
Give us this game, give us this license, and we'll make it great, right? And, this plays into the theory that, and this is a total rumor and speculation, but a lot of people were talking about how Sucker Punch, the developers behind Infamous, are supposedly working on a Spider-Man game. And, I know, right? It's a dream, and that would be the best superhero video game of all time. Maybe rival Batman, the Arkham series.
Because gameplay would be so much fun.
Yes, Infamous nails feeling like a superhero, and Batman's combat I think is where it suffers a little bit.
Really?
I think it gets a little repetitive.
Are you still hung up on the tank thing?
No. I am hung up. I do think that the tank thing sucks.
Are you talking about the fighting?
I'm just talking about the brawling. I think it gets a little repetitive.
I think it got better as the games went on. I think Arkham Knight is the most pristine of the combat in all four of those games, but only 3 with Rocksteady.
I agree, but comparing it side to side with Second Son. How you have all these different powers and these ways you can come at enemies. And with Batman, it's really just like, do you want to grapple this guy or punch him? Those are your 2 options.
You can drop down and pick him up and hang him. You can glide kick him.
But yeah, I think this is smart.
Spider-Man
for Disney.
would be great because, like, imagine a game where you swing down, you pick somebody up, throw them in the air, and then web them to a lamppost, and then you can write your own note. Boom.
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic. That was my pen, not the actual mic.
So I do think that this is a smart move for Disney to license their things out. It sucks that people had to lose their jobs, but I think this means more Disney games, and I think that this means
better games.
Disney games, yeah. Because
I think those people, as successful as they were on a game, they'll find a job.
They'll land on their feet 100%. Yeah. And like you were saying with Kingdom Hearts 3, I think that game has been way more in control with Square Enix, right? I think,
for sure.
I think Disney...
Those games are Japanese.
Yeah. Disney, as a developer on that, is just lending the voices and lending the characters, right? So I think that's more of a Square Enix thing, which... That's a whole other conversation with them working on Final Fantasy 15, Kingdom Hearts 3, and the Final Fantasy 7 reboot.
Let's just not even talk about that right now, because we're going to be talking about that for the next 2 years, so it's going to get repetitive on the podcast.
I would make a drink bet with you, although I think you would fail it, is that I think that Disney Kingdom Hearts 3 is 2019 at the earliest.
Okay.
Which is horrifying.
I want to make a drink bet that I know I can win.
Yeah, we'll see about that one. So my last question before we move on to the big topic of the show is, what Disney properties would you like to see revamped and reworked with what developer?
Ooh.
So if you
This is an at Dat John
this could be an
question, but I'm going to secede it to you.
Okay.
Go ahead. I like this a lot.
Yeah, so,
let's do this.
Right in the middle of the show before we have an act break is, like think about the properties, think about the different characters that Disney has in its repertoire, and who would you want to license them out to? So immediately I think about my favorite developers. So, and these are just dream picks, not thinking realistically. But my favorite developers are like Naughty Dog. Sucker Punch is a classic Sony studio. I don't know many Xbox studios except for like Black Tusk and 343. Activision ruined so many good superhero games, though, right?
Oh, they derailed Spider-Man.
Did you ever play Shattered Dimensions or the other one?
No, it looked...
Web of Shadows, right?
I played Web of Shadows.
Was that one good?
It was fun, yeah. Great? No. Fun? Yes. I played 20% of the campaign and then stopped the campaign because I didn't like it. And I just spent the whole time swinging around the city, picking people up and throwing them at stuff. I liked throwing cars at robots. That was a big win for me. But I think a fun property to explore that ties in with the recent announcement from a couple months ago would be an Indiana Jones game.
That's a good pick.
Now, Dream would be obviously Naughty Dog, but that's too much like Uncharted.
Oh, God.
So I don't know, in terms of developer, who would
Can you
want?
imagine how much money that game would make?
Oh, it'd be so good.
It'd be amazing.
Like Indy's first adventure.
Sure.
By Naughty Dog.
If you come out during the E3,
Victor Sullivan's a little boy who hangs out with Indy.
Wait, so you're crossing over the Uncharted v Indy crossover game? Oh my God!
But yeah, I think Indiana.
If anybody
Jones,
wants to get in contact with us about releasing the idea,
the last Indiana Jones game was Indiana Jones Staff of Kings for Wii, which was bad.
Never played it. Didn't even know that existed.
Not good. The last good Indiana Jones game was Fate of Atlantis, which is a computer RPG. It's a click game.
Like an adventure game.
Point click adventure. Yep. So I think a really nice third person, beautiful Indiana Jones console game for PlayStation would be great. And I know that for consoles you have Lara Croft already, and we have Uncharted. But I think Indiana Jones is such a good property. I think they could make a lot of money. And if it's even a semi-good game, it's going to sell because I'll buy it. So
yeah. And my pick, I think I've thought about this for a second, and I think I'm gonna. And this is a total dream pick. And but one of my favorite games of the last few years was Shovel Knight. Yacht Club Games made a fantastic 8-bit. Yes, I'm thinking they do a sequel to DuckTales. And Shovel Knight is pretty much DuckTales, just with RPG mechanics.
Yeah.
It's a deeper game in every way. I think it's better than DuckTales by a fucking mile. But like, if Shovel Knight, if the Shovel Knight developers, Yacht Club, sorry, there it is, got the rights to DuckTales and they could go and do a sequel, I think they could make a straight great game and expand on the game, give it a great soundtrack. I think that would be a great game, especially if they made it 8-bit, because Shovel Knight, it's 8-bit. I love the pixel art styles, I love sprites, and I really do think that was one of the most beautiful games, even though there's Uncharted and then there's Shovel Knight, and the minimalist works in their favor.
Spectrum.
Yeah. Any other picks from you?
No, all I think about is Indiana Jones, and I want to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark right now. So
all right.
Let's move on.
We're gonna take a short break before we come back to you with the big old topic of the show.
Uncharted 4.
Stay tuned.
I think so.
Welcome back to Radiovania, episode number 16. This is your Uncharted 4 Super Show. I'm here with @Dad John Parker. John, how you doing on the second half of this auspicious occasion?
I am so excited to talk about this game.
I've been holding it back. We were driving in the car, we were going to Taco Bizzle, we went to the comic shop, and we were like, started to tease the topics, and I'm just like, wait!
We can't talk about it yet, we gotta save it.
It's awful. The suspense is literally killing me inside.
So hopefully you guys like the show, because we literally don't talk to each other unless we're on the show.
We're sitting here at about 45 minutes worth of show, so the next bit of the show is going to be all Uncharted. We're going to start spoiler-free. If you haven't played the game, you can listen to this, but then we'll say we're going into spoilers, and we'll jump right in. If you haven't finished the game, if you haven't beaten it, if you haven't played it, shut it off. Like, pause it, do whatever.
It for yourself.
This is not something that, this game has a lot of
This
moments.
is a lifestyle choice. Don't screw it up.
I'm Unchartian. My Unchartian belief system.
I go to the Church of Uncharted. The Church of Naughty
the Church of Drake.
Church of Naughty Dog Saints.
Praise be to Naughty Dog.
Seriously. My Father.
So let's jump right in.
Sure.
John, what did you think of Uncharted 4: A Thief's End?
So good. It's incredible. Visually, the best game on PlayStation 4, I think, at least that I've played.
I really think it's the best console game I've ever played.
It is.
In terms of visuals.
Gorgeous. It's just beautiful. Every set piece, it's just amazing. Like, the amount of time that they put into it is just fantastic. Yeah. And it really shows. The story is really good, and we're not going to talk that much about the story. No. But I think it's the best in the Uncharted series.
I would agree with you.
Maybe second, or not second, and then the second one would be...
We've got a topic about ranking the games here, so keep it going. No, we keep going through this. Okay. Don't write anything in your notebook. Okay. Story great. I really appreciated how subtle the story is.
Yeah.
You would, from the Uncharted games 1, 2, and 3, you would assume going into this that it's going to be really more high fantasy, and I really do think that they kind of
grounded.
They surprised us, and they at least surprised me, and it's obvious how much The Last of Us has influenced this game.
Yeah, I think that's why.
The Last of Us might be my second favorite game of last console's generation, because I played The Last of Us on my PlayStation 3 right before the PS4 came out.
Sure.
So I associate The Last of Us with the PlayStation 3. I think that was the PlayStation 3's swan song. It was its last great game before it kind of just careened, and it's still running, but it's not. The PS4 is where it's at right now.
Oh, for sure.
And, Naughty Dog was able to crank out Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 and The Last of Us in a console cycle. And it's just amazing to me that these guys and girls' technical prowess and their ability to make these kind of games. It's unbelievable. Like, my mouth was wide open scores of times while I was playing Uncharted 4, and
I couldn't stop smiling while I was playing it.
Yeah.
You know, you're running around. This isn't a spoiler, but if it is, whatever, spoilers. You like throw grappling hooks on stuff, and then you swing.
Not a spoiler.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, that's in the trailers.
You swing across chasms and stuff like that, and I was just like, this is so much fun to play.
So in terms of the gameplay, how did you feel that they upped it from Uncharted from the original 3?
So crisp.
Yeah, it feels good.
If you compare this to like the first one, unparalleled.
The first one is so hard to play.
Yes,
it still feels good.
Fun game,
it still feels good, but it's definitely the hardest of the 4, just because of the wonky sort of platforming and gunplay.
And that's a repetitive game. Yeah,
I agree.
Climb to the top of a tower, kill a lot of guys. Climb to the next tower, kill a lot of guys. But it's good.
Yeah, and I really think they refined the Uncharted gameplay. The things that they brought over from The Last of Us really work here. The exploration mainly.
Yes,
they've been calling it wide linear. And I think that that's a good way to describe it, where it's like you're always going to get to the final destination where you're supposed to be going. But there's these massive areas where you can walk around and you can look at notepads and get like bigger stories. And I think that was one of the coolest things about it was the environmental storytelling and the way that the world tells you these little things that you don't necessarily get if you just run through the whole thing and get from cutscene to cutscene. So in terms of the rope, I thought it was used in moderation, and it was really fun when I was swinging around.
Loved it.
I thought the slide was a little weird at first, but I think it made sense in especially in the Scotland part, and no spoilers about that. But
I like the sliding. I thought there was a lot of climbing.
Yeah, that is Uncharted. That's Uncharted. But
that's a given, but a lot of climbing, especially in the third act.
Once you get to certain locations that are a little bit less urban, you definitely start scaling
a lot of stuff.
Probably every 10 minutes.
But it's so smooth now, and you can like move to things without having to jump. You can grab them, so it's really fluid. So I like the gameplay of it. I'm just pointing out the fact that there's a lot of it.
And I definitely have some flaws with my main flaw, or my biggest nitpick of the game, because like honestly, I'd give this game a 10. This is a 10 out of 10. I'd put this in the spectrum of my top 10 or even 5 favorite video games of all time. I need to replay it again, but it just, critics got a critic, and we have to be critical of some things. Even no game is perfect.
Sure.
And one of the things I thought
this one's damn near close.
It's pretty close. One of the things I did think was a little off is still the gunplay. There were moments, and we'll talk about this when we get to the spoilers, but there were certain set pieces where I felt like I was really getting bogged down by the amount of enemies, and that I played it on moderate going through the first time.
Same.
And just somewhere in the middle. I didn't want it too easy, didn't want it too hard, but I did feel like there were moments where guards were rushing me, and it just seemed like I wasn't firing at them accurately. And maybe it's me being bad at video games, and maybe it's me being bad at third-person shooters, especially. But
it's a little bit more challenging. I would say, third-person shooter.
It's challenging, and I never felt like the guns were 100% accurate, you know? Even with sharpshooter guns like the sniper, I felt like I was always repositioning my reticle. It's not like with Call of Duty where I always feel like I can make that shot.
Yeah.
And so the gunplay in Uncharted, you don't play Uncharted for the gunplay.
No, you play it for the...
You play it for the story, in my opinion. And so that is one of the things where I did feel frustrated, and there were a few times where I was like, I held the controller like, damn it. Like, and I was just like, kind of like set down. It's like, well, all right, let's try this again for the 5th time and hope Nate doesn't die. And,
Nate, no!
Only one Nate no in the whole game.
Yes.
I thought that was a little disappointing.
Get a lot of Nathan.
You do get a lot of Nathan.
From spoilers.
Specific characters. So last final thoughts before we jump into spoilers. I thought it was phenomenal. Enthralling from beginning to end.
Go play this game. Drop whatever game you're playing, play this one.
It's fantastic. They nailed it. Naughty Dog did such a great job.
It is a front runner for PlayStation and a front runner for all video games right now.
I agree. I think before this I would have said Bloodborne was my favorite PS4 exclusive. Now I'd definitely say Uncharted 4 is my favorite PS4 exclusive. In the running for Game of the Year for me, I can't think of a game this year that's beaten it. Ratchet & Clank was great, and I thought that was my front runner, and now this just blew it out of the water. And that's no offense to Ratchet & Clank, but it's just 2 different games on 2 different spectrums, and This is just it's a polished masterpiece.
That's exactly how I would sum up this game. It's just a beautiful work of art.
Yeah, and this is the best example for video games being art, in my opinion. And there's games like Journey, and there's games like The Unfinished Swan and Limbo that really showcase how games can tell impactful and emotional and dark stories. But Uncharted 4 is cinematic. It's essentially a movie. It's a 15-hour movie.
It's a movie,
and it's so well done. And the writing is better than some TV shows, and it rivals some movies, honestly.
Yeah.
And kudos to Druckmann and the team over there, because they hit a home run, and it's sad to see Uncharted go. But I'm excited to see.
2 is on its way.
I'm excited to see what they have next up their sleeve.
I'm interested in the next franchise. I want a Last of Us sequel, obviously.
Same.
But I'm excited about whatever the next franchise is going to be that they start.
So now we're going to transition officially into spoiler territory. So if you haven't played the game, shut this off. Go away. Seriously. Go away.
Are you gone? Are you still here?
Hello.
What are you still doing here?
Hello.
Ferris Bueller.
It's Nate.
Nate!
Starting off right off the bat, I really do think that this game had the strongest opening in the series.
Yeah, definitely.
What did you think about the whole introing it off with the boat in the water heading towards the island, and then transitioning to the Catholic home?
It was nice. It was really nice. Really action-packed to start, which is exactly how you want an Uncharted game to start. And then you ground it and you get back to what it's about, which is family.
I didn't think that it was going to take that. I didn't think it was going to be that fast to get into young Nate again. I was like, there's going to be some young Nate in here because you have to establish him and his brother.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was going to be that quick.
Yeah.
So when it hit, I was like, this is awesome.
I would consider the entire opening, the boat, the Catholic thing, and the prison.
In the prison, which is awesome.
And then the opening, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End shows up. So I would consider all of that the opening. And I think the prison part is incredible.
So good. So it's funny, and it intros the gameplay so well, the fighting mechanics.
Yeah, it takes place before Drake's Fortune.
Yeah.
So he looks like he does in Drake's Fortune, young. And
he's scrappy. He's got his hair is all brown. And he doesn't have the gray spots and
wrinkles on his face.
Yeah, the wrinkles, and it's so fun. Like the interplay between him, his brother, and Rafe, who I actually thought is the best villain in all 4. As much as I love Lazarevich,
Rafe is the most dynamic villain.
I agree.
By far. Lazarevich is the coolest design for a villain.
It's just because he's a big Russian thug.
That boss fight in Uncharted 2 is great. So.
We don't see eye to eye on this. I think it was a little cheesy. Like,
really?
Yeah, it was fun, but like in terms of the story,
it's hard.
It is hard. Yeah. And we'll get to the final boss of this game in a little bit. The prison break scene is excellent. I thought Sam's death, quote unquote, is unexpected, but at the same time it was like, oh well,
they talked about that in the trailer, so
yeah, that he's kind of gonna come back, so it didn't hit me as hard emotionally. Going back through the second time, it kind of did, because I was attached to that character, so seeing him and his brother be separated was actually more gut-wrenching than thinking that he's dead. So I'm excited to play through it again a whole second time, because I'm sure there's going to be way more stuff that dynamically hits me a second time.
Definitely.
Cinematic opening. Also, the opening title music I have, the Drake's theme rework, I think is excellent.
Yes.
Kudos to Henry Jackman and the soundtrack. It's incredible. They nailed it.
It's like a combo of like Indiana Jones and Pirates of the Caribbean music. It's great.
Yeah. I have written down in my notes that I'd play a whole game of young Drake and Sam going on adventures.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And I have in hyphens single-player DLC?
Question mark.
I
think my single-player DLC is also a really fun opportunity. I don't think it'll happen, though. But
yeah, what do you think it's going to be?
Young Sullivan.
Young Sully? Mm-hmm. I think that's smart. Sully, a lot of reviewers were talking about how Sully was underused in Uncharted 4.
It's because Sam was in the game.
Yeah, Sully shows up a lot less, but when he's in the game, he's fantastic.
Well, and the reason why Chloe and Cutter weren't in this game is because you had to make room for Sam, too. And, jumping into Sam, Troy Baker, the man.
Oh, he's the man.
Sam, I think, is a great character.
Yeah.
I loved the character, and I think given just the one game that he's in the series, I think they were able to develop his relationship with Nate so well and the character very, very well.
I thought it was great how they were able to do it so fast, too.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense. Brotherhood is a strong bond, you know?
Yeah, and it took not necessarily 3 games, because I cared about Nate in Uncharted 2, but I don't think it was really until Uncharted 3 where I started really caring about these characters. But they made me care about Sam right after the whole, the prison escape scene. Yeah. And I was like, I like this. I like their interplay. I like their relationship together. I don't know how they did it, man. Like, they kudos to them.
In this game, they do a really good job of... It's mostly heavy on Drake and Sam hanging out. Nate and Sam.
Sure.
But they also do a good job of giving you some Nate and Sully and some Nate and Elena, especially towards the third act of the game.
Sure.
So I think it's nice that you can have... Because it's kind of like in The Last of Us where you can, bring up topics to talk to your partner about and stuff like that.
Yeah, I really thought that the dialogue... I mean, again, shout out to the writers, because the dialogue is excellent, especially when you're in the Jeep in Madagascar and you're able to talk to, like, the characters. You get out of the car and it's like, you come back and it's like, hey, where were you? Oh, let me finish the story.
Yeah.
Did you get the line of dialogue where Sam tells a really corny joke to Sully and he threatens to throw him out of the car?
No.
Oh, it was excellent.
I don't think I was driving around for that long.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was, the dialogue was really great, smartly written, and I do agree. I think that is one of the Last of Us mechanics that I think is genius. And I don't want to say more games should copy them, but I do think that that's a really smart way to get more insight on the characters, because you could totally skip over all this dialogue with other characters by not pressing triangle, but you're missing out on a whole conversation line that makes you care about these characters even more.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to put in here that I love the nonlinear storytelling.
Yes.
Straight out of Batman Begins, or, one of those kind of like a Nolan kind of movie. I appreciated how it started off later, goes back later, so when it gets to that final scene, you really have an appreciation for all that they've been through. And when you do have the scene, I think it's chapter 17 or 16, called Marooned, when Drake wakes... 16. When Drake wakes up on the island and it's right after the shipwreck and he's stumbling around and you're trying to search for Sam. I thought that was really poignant and really well set up, having you know the consequences of the boat crash at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
What did you think of Rafe as a villain? Like, I know we've touched on it, but
he's good. He's very
as a character too.
Yeah, I would say so. I think his motives are pretty clear.
Yeah.
I think I like the repartee that him and Sam and Nate bounce off of each other. I think they all play really well together because they have such a long history together. Because, Rafe, Nate, and Sam at the beginning of the game, you could see them, they're all working together in the prison to find Henry Avery's treasure. And then they talk about how Nate and Rafe looked for a while Sam was supposedly dead.
Sure.
And then Rafe and Sam looked for a while after Nate quit. So he had time with each of them, so how he knows both the Drake bros.
Yeah, and their relationship together at the beginning, it was almost like if I didn't know that, I mean, Rafe is on the, he's billed as the villain, kind of, through trailers and stuff like that, but I would not have guessed that he was a villain until he stabbed the guy he stabbed, whatever that guy's name, Alfredo? What was that? Vargas, that's right, yeah.
The warden.
The warden, yeah. And, I thought that was a really good way to kind of show, like, you didn't need him to say, like, he didn't need a monologue about his great master plan or his evil thing, whatever. You just had him stab a guard. And it was like, that was a really strong way of just saying, by the way, might want to watch out for this guy. He might be a little crazy.
Yeah. And then, like, going with the non-linear storytelling again, a person that I thought was going to be a villain, which is that Hector Alvarez guy or whatever.
Hector
Alcazar, who Sam said it was the guy who busted him out of prison, even though we find out later that it was actually Rafe the whole time, and that guy was made up. Or he wasn't made up, but he wasn't in the prison with Sam.
I thought that the prison escape scene with Sam is the most brutal scene in any of the Uncharted games. And when I was running through the thing for the first time, I tried not to shoot the guards because I kind of felt bad that they were just breaking us out and we were setting the place on fire.
Yeah.
It's kind of like No Russian in Modern Warfare.
Sure.
A little lighter, of course, but like...
Or like shooting the people in the Firefly thing in The Last of Us who were about to operate on Ellie, who surrendered.
Yeah, seriously. That, very similar. Good pull for that one. But...
Did you kill them?
Yeah, I did. Because if you wait too long, they try to stab you.
I wasted all of them pretty fast. So.
And yeah, that's a great example of, you shoot the guys down, and I immediately felt remorse about it. And like you're carrying Ellie and everything like that. But I don't know, man, like that prison escape scene was brutal, and a great introduction to, even though Hector Alcazar is not a villain, you feel like a presence of him throughout the game until
you're worried about Sam.
Yeah. And it does go to show, like, Troy Baker did a fantastic job with Sam, and even though he does lie to Nate, and the scene after Nate falls off the building and they reveal the whole Alcazar thing was a lie, I felt like that was, even though he lied and that was like a horrible thing to do to get Nate back in the game, essentially, you still kind of understood Sam's reasons for doing it, which is interesting because usually you could play it off as, I trusted you and you did this, and they separate. But I'm glad the route they took where Drake kind of understands that he did it for a reason. And
he cares about him a lot.
And so I thought it was good that they
I think Rafe was a great villain. The boss fight is the best boss fight in the series, I think.
I think it was the best. I think the boss fight was cool. I did feel like it was a little clunky. I couldn't get the controls down really well.
It's fast. It's hard.
Yeah,
I think it's. How many times did you die?
Oh man,
I died at least like 3 or 4 times.
Over 20, I'd say.
Really? Wow. It's hard.
If I had to count, probably like 15 to 20.
They give you a little more health. I feel like you can take a couple more hits as opposed to getting shot because you're kind of getting slashed and stuff like that. But I mean, it's Rafe and Nate fighting in the hold of the ship, the Henry Avery's ship, and it's treasure, and there's fire everywhere, and you're sword fighting, which I was waiting for the whole game because it's a pirate themed treasure, and it's so cool.
The scene is beautiful to look at. Yes. I was distracted by the environment. I'm just like, this is so beautiful. I just wish, like, I don't mind the boss fight, but I almost just wish that they would have just shown the sword fight in a cutscene and just let me finish it. I think you have to have a boss thing. That's true. It goes in line with all the other Uncharted games. Yeah,
like if it's just like a button mashing as opposed to Among Thieves where you kind of have to move.
Sure.
Which is challenging.
Oh, really hard.
But yeah.
I thought it was okay. I wasn't super in love with the boss fight, although visually stunning. The fire is just so beautiful, and the way that it shimmers off the gold.
Embers jumping around everywhere.
I also want to bring out the transition 15 years later with Drake scuba diving is awesome. I love that reveal, and going into Drake's normal sort of life. Really sort of...
A lot of Easter eggs.
Yeah, a lot of Easter eggs when you're walking around. And I thought that the scene with him shooting the fake things with the fake gun was such a great introduction to say, like...
and it plays the music from the first one or the second one, I can't remember.
It's like he's a grizzled old guy. He's just kind of like...
But he's still goofy.
Yeah, and he's still... he misses that. And so when Elena and Nate do have their conversation on the couch where he drifts away into that island, it's like...
So like in that part of the game, he's exploring the attic and you're looking at all these little treasures that you find on the side.
Yeah.
And you're, working your way through the first 3 Uncharted games. And did you notice did you shoot all 4 of the targets that hang from the ceiling?
I did. You get the trophy.
Did you notice the last one had Lazarevich's face painted on it? I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, it was awesome.
You know what I mean? Like I was just like...
I love that he just has
I was just smiling for like 40 minutes playing the beginning of this game because it's just so fun. And then to top it off, you go downstairs and you play Crash Bandicoot. So good.
What did you thought about the Easter egg?
That was so fun.
Dude, that was one of the most...
I'm terrible at it, but it was so fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're supposed to lose when you play it the first time.
Yeah.
But, oh my God. I couldn't believe it. When they showed the PlayStation, I was like, oh, that's cool. I thought they were just going to pan right back. No. But then they pan up and you hear the logo and you hear the startup sound and I was just like, oh. And then... Dun, 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 dun,
like they just had every gamer turning into putty at that point.
Yeah. Everyone has a favorite Naughty Dog game. Like a lot of people love Jak and Daxter. I think my favorite game series from Naughty Dog is Uncharted. But Crash Bandicoot is awesome, and I had my time with that when I was a kid. And it's just so great to see it back because Activision still has the rights to Crash Bandicoot, which is interesting because how much money or what was the deal to get Crash in this game? Like, I don't know. Whatever
They're
going
to make it up with game sales, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but if anything, this proves that Crash is still relevant because the internet freaked the hell out over the Easter egg.
With the 15 years later part that you're talking about, when Sam shows up at his work, and that's when he gets reintroduced to him after so long. Which Uncharted story did you tell? Because you get to choose.
I played the first time playing through. I talked about Around the Pillars because Uncharted 3 was my favorite Uncharted game until this. But
I did Shambhala.
You did Shambhala?
Thieves.
Yeah. Great pick too.
Yeah, I want to play that part so I can hear how he starts each story.
Yeah.
And you hear the Drake's Fortune, the El Dorado one in the trailer. So I'm curious to see what he talks about for Drake's Deception.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good.
It is.
It's just I like having the option of being able to pick some stuff.
Yeah.
Because like they didn't overuse it, but you can definitely do it every now and then. You know.
And so you mentioned to me you're probably going to go back on a harder difficulty.
Probably, yeah.
I think so. I'm going to try that too.
Because I mean, if the only part is the combat that's harder, then that's fine. Because it's not overwhelming with combat like the first one. So I'll still be able to explore everything, and then just occasionally have a more of a challenge. So.
Sure. What did you think about the transition to Madagascar with the Jeep?
Very good. And then you do that later on in Libertalia too with Elena.
Yeah.
But the Jeep thing, I thought that was really cool, being able to take the winch, go up and wrap it around a tree to get up mud slopes. The open exploration of that chapter, which I think is chapter 10.
Yeah, chapter 10 is Madagascar.
Yes, so much fun. That's the one that I want to replay the most because I probably missed 75% of that chapter just because I wanted to progress the story.
Yeah, I definitely explored a lot of the caves around there, and this is
a couple.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts about this game, and what I want to touch about in a gameplay standpoint is Uncharted's 1, 2, and 3 dealt with enemies as waves. You fought a wave of enemies, killed them, and then another wave came on. And the way you fought them here was, there's a bunch of enemies, I can see them clearly. Let me come at this in whatever way I want. You can bum rush it and just fuck
drive
them up.
the Jeep in the middle.
Yeah, drive the Jeep through the middle, cut them all up, cut their heads, do whatever you want to do. I actually found myself stealthing around a lot. Yeah, just because I found it so satisfying when I did. Because I don't know if you did this or whatever, but when you there's a trophy for stealthing an entire environment of enemies down.
I think I did it.
And when you do that, he's like, look at that, like a ninja. And I was just like, oh, this is awesome.
It's so funny.
Yeah,
it's just so great. It's such a fun game. Like, just have a good time. Just play it.
It's so great. A couple nitpicks I have here. I thought that the reveal of Sam making up the story was a little predictable. It wasn't bad.
I felt like he was working with Rafe at a certain point.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad lie. Like, I just thought it was predictable.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I knew that his character was a little too good to be true.
That's kind of like a pretty reasonable ex machina, though.
Sure.
For that type of
I'm just glad that wasn't like the big reveal, you know? They just treated it as like a moment where it's like, did you lie to me? It's like, yeah, I kind of did. And then the big moment comes later. But going back to young Drake and Sam is tear-jerking. I thought another one of my favorite moments where I got kind of sad, I welled up, was them going through the mansion and talking to one another, picking up all the items, looking through the books.
I love when he puts the hat on.
Yeah.
Dr. Livingston. So funny.
And then, them finding the journal. I was a little hazy on who the older lady was. I guess she's just colleagues with their mom.
She just works with their mom.
Yeah. But it was really sad, and them running from the cops and all that stuff. It was just really well done. And beautiful, too. Like, walking around that empty house was just really creepy and unsettling, but still interesting at the same time.
The Last of Us.
Yeah, serious Last of Us vibes. Also, another one of my favorite moments was the Pirate Council.
Yeah.
Where they walk into the room with Nate and Elena, and Nate reenacts the scene in front of it. He's like, drinking and yar har har, or whatever. But that is just beautiful. Like, I felt like it was just so somber, and like they're talking about is like they show Thomas 2 and they show Avery, and like their seats are empty and everything like that. And I just thought that was beautiful. And the interplay between Nate and Elena was, it's total fan service. Yeah. Just knowing that their relationship, what it's gone through over the past 4 games.
Yeah. And it finally ends on a good note.
Yeah. So a couple things. I'm surprised they didn't kill anyone.
Me too. I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah. I thought they were totally setting up for Sully to die, because he calls
Sam.
in.
I thought Sam was going to die too.
They call in Sully, he comes back and he's wearing a white shirt. I was like, no! Because I could just vision it where it's just like he's standing around and then you see blood just like drip down in the white, and I was like, no, not Sully, come on.
And then he didn't.
No, everyone turns out fine. Which I thought was surprising.
That's fine.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
I was expecting them to kill someone, and they ended up playing it safe. And I think that it stays true to what Uncharted is.
Yeah.
It's a pulp action game. And the other last big thing about the story, kind of, is there's no supernatural twist. What would you think about that?
I like that, actually.
I thought it was interesting that it was grounded. I kept waiting for there to be a supernatural element, and when there wasn't one, I wasn't disappointed. I was just like, oh, okay.
Because you have the zombies in the first one, the Nazi zombie things, and then you have the blue people in the second one, and then the fire stuff in the third one.
Yeah, and the spiders, and you have like the things that come out of the water right there, and all that stuff. It gets progressively less supernatural as the series goes on.
Definitely.
But I think it would have been. I was so looking forward to. And I know it sounds stupid, but when you're walking down in the tunnels and you get like, these are the hands that stole from me, which is just another awesome part.
Yeah.
I thought for sure, I was like, there's going to be some straight skeleton dudes I'm going to have to shoot down and kill, and this is going to be awesome.
Like the Mummy.
Yeah. And I think I would have actually liked a supernatural twist. It doesn't hinder my enjoyment of the game. I just think that it would have been cool to have something supernatural.
Yeah, I think this game is more of like a mystery storytelling,
sure.
Not necessarily mystical. It's more about like what happened with these pirates, because like no one really knows, But
sure,
it's so good.
And the last thing to touch on my list here is the epilogue.
Yeah,
what'd you think?
Very good. Good stuff, man. It's just
touching,
very touching.
I thought it was kind of unexpected.
I wasn't expecting it either.
When you got to the Crash Bandicoot thing again the second time, I was just like, okay, cool. They're going to start rolling the credits.
Yeah, and then after I died,
it flips around and it's young
Elena and Nate's daughter, Cassie.
Cassie, yeah,
which is named after their mom, or Nate and Sam's mom.
Yeah. Really well done scene. Like another reviewer I listened to points out that Last of Us vibes, at least I had them.
Yeah, like the beginning.
Yeah.
When you play as Ellie.
Not Ellie. When you play as Joel's daughter. Sarah. Okay, there you go. Yeah, definitely. You're walking around, you pick up old photos, and then you go to the dresser.
It's not as creepy, though.
No, definitely not. Beautiful environment, too.
Yes,
like the beach.
And the dog. You interact with the dog. Did you feed him 2 biscuits, or you just give him 1?
I didn't feed him any biscuits.
What? I fed him 2 biscuits, man. He's happy.
Oh, no. I didn't see any biscuits.
Dude,
Where are the biscuits?
Things that we bounce off each other that we didn't get to do.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome. It's good for Naughty Dog. Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome.
The biscuits are in the laundry room. Spoilers. That's
now I'm going to have to go through. That's the biggest spoiler of Uncharted 4 was the dog biscuit. Yeah, so the reveal to her of Nate and Elena is really heartwarming in the way it just kind of fades away, and it leaves the series open. Yeah,
but their family worked out finally, because it hadn't to that point.
No, it had been rocky.
And it ends with she goes to their cabinet and it's got all the stuff from all of their adventures, and then the epilogue ends with him beginning to tell the story about all 4 games, starting at when him and Elena looked for Francis Drake's coffin.
Yeah.
So it's just good. It's just so good. And then the last image is the 2 photographs, right? Mm-hmm. The one that Sam and him take in the mansion, the selfie with the Sean Livingston, not Sean Livingston, that's a basketball player, Dr. Livingston. And then the one from the first Uncharted game with Sully and Elena and Nate sitting on the treasure, which is a great thing.
It's really touching, and I think a lot of people are making great points with, and I agree with them. I second them. I think that for people that are really casual game fans, maybe you can jump into this and really enjoy it, and you will enjoy this game.
You'll enjoy it more if you played the other 3.
I 100% agree.
I'm definitely glad that I played the other 3 before I played this one.
This is a total fan service game. The characters, you will not care about these characters enough if you just jump into Uncharted 4.
Especially people like Elena and Sully.
Sure. Yeah, when they're introduced...
You'll care about Sam and Nate a lot, because they develop that relationship really well. But this is a continuation of his relationship with Sully in like Sully's late days, and then his continuation of trying to finalize that good relationship with Elena.
Sure.
Which has been a complicated roller coaster for the entire series.
So ending the Uncharted discussion, I want to know the best moment in each of the Uncharted games for you.
Oh, yeah.
Right off the top of the bat. You got Uncharted 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Just go in order.
Sure. What's your favorite moment in
Uncharted 1?
You go
first. Give me a second.
Submarine scene. I know it's kind of an easy pick, but
like early on?
Yes, when you find the Spanish doubloon. When you're walking through that submarine and you have to open the doors, and then there's the whole thing where it starts like, I love that scene. I thought it really eerie, really creepy, really well done, and Sully's outside just yelling at you the whole time. And it's awesome.
Yeah, I like the the part when you're actually in the lab and the Nazi like zombie monsters are coming at you from all corners and stuff like that, and it's close quarters combat, and it's kind of creepy, and I felt really nervous playing it the whole time.
Sure.
And that's when you kind of discover like what El Dorado is. So that's my favorite part of the first one, either that or maybe even just the opening with him and Sully, where you're exploring that like underground temple, and then there's a lot of booby traps and stuff. It felt very Raiders of the Lost Ark opening-esque.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would probably go with the fighting the creepy monsters in the dark.
Uncharted 2. Got one?
I gotta think. The second one for me would probably be either climbing the train.
Yeah, I'd have to go with that too.
Or climbing through the mountains with, what's his name, Tenzin. That is so much fun. And then you wind up fighting that fake Yeti monster thing.
The Yeti.
I liked going through Nepal. I thought that was really beautiful with the snow and stuff. That's actually probably my favorite, that whole chapter.
The Nepal chapter.
A lot of cool parkour and stuff in the world with that.
Yeah, I have, for Uncharted 2, I'd probably second the train scene. It's incredible. The opening for that game also unbelievable.
Yeah.
When you're just hanging there and then you finally realize that you can start moving. And I was like, oh, no. Yeah. It's awesome. Uncharted 3.
Yours is the cruise ship.
I got to go with the cruise ship, yeah. I've talked about this a lot before, but when you jump onto that cruise ship and you start firing the rockets and you start moving along, and then there is the scene where it starts capsizing and everything starts moving.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that.
It's a really nice set piece.
It's beautiful and it's well designed, and the cruise ship is beautiful. And when it starts flooding, you get, the realization that Sully's not there and all that stuff. It's just, I just think that is Indiana Jones also, is just...
I talked earlier, for my favorite part of the third one, I talked earlier about how much I liked him falling out of the plane, but I think that's more of a cinematic part. I think my favorite part to play through is the Greatness from Small Beginnings chapter.
Yes.
With young Nate in the museum, and then you meet Sully.
Yeah, and that's my second part, that's in terms of a story. In terms of story for me...
I just like playing it where you kind of have to tail him and hide and stuff like that. It felt really fun.
In terms of story for Uncharted 3 for me, it would definitely be young Nate, because it gives that connection between you and Sully that makes that bond even tighter. And I think it just makes that game even more poignant.
Yeah.
Uncharted 4. You played through it once.
Yeah, there's a lot to sift through.
Yeah.
This is a lot longer, too. This game,
it's the longest Uncharted game.
Each chapter runs longer. I'm probably going to have to go with the Madagascar car chase scene.
Okay.
I really liked that. I liked the action of it. I thought it was really fun to play. In terms of story, though, the prison part's really good. The opening with the prison, I really liked that a lot.
Yeah, really great way to open the game. For me, I'm going to go with the clock tower in Madagascar, because you climb up to the top, you open the staircase, and you go down, you have to solve the puzzle with the pirates.
Yeah.
Thought that was really awesome, really intriguing, great writing between him and that's like the whole him and Sully just hanging out, and that's where my heart lies.
Yeah.
Is him and Sully.
In addition to the car chase, I think my second favorite part would be Avery's Descents chapter, where you go down in the cave with Elena, and everything's by torchlight, and you talked earlier about like the bones hanging from the ceiling, and you kind of see how this guy's nuts, this pirate dude.
Yeah. In terms of story for me, I like I said earlier, the Pirate Council. Just thought that scene was awesome. It gives that extra tension to Nate and Elena's relationship towards the end there. Mm-hmm. It's just awesome. And
did you think she was dead when they fell? You remember that part in the...
She?
Like when they slide down the thing after all the explosions go on.
Oh, no, I didn't think she was dead.
And he was talking to her and she wasn't moving. Did you think she was dead?
For a brief second, maybe I did.
I thought she was. I was like, no! Really? And then she was pulling a prank on him, and I was like... I felt like Nate. It made me feel like Nate.
I think that if anyone was going to die in that game, my suspicion was that Rafe was going to stab someone. Or I think it was going to be personally Rafe.
I thought Rafe was going to shoot Sam at some point. So.
Yeah. I honestly saw him grabbing that sword out and just sticking Sam while he was trapped by the log.
Yeah.
I think that would have been brutal.
That'd have been so
because then
awful.
Sam goes down with the treasure in the ship, and that would have been awful.
I'm glad
but
he was able to let go by the end of the game.
Yeah. I saw that happening in my head, and I was like, but yeah, Elena, I didn't think there was any way that they could have killed Elena in this game. I think it was between Sully and Sam were the people that were going to die, and in the end, no one died. So yeah. Last thing, and we can just do this by your gut before we close the show out. Right now, in your heart of hearts, rank the Uncharted games from best to worst, best to least best.
I'm going to go 4, 2, 3, 1.
I go 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're going to go backwards.
I think 4 is the best, then 3, and then 2. And
3 visually is great, but I like the story in 2 the best. I also like the set pieces a lot.
Yeah.
Just because I really like the Asian aspect of it, like with Nepal and stuff. I thought it was really fun. Plus, I liked having the animosity between like Chloe and Nate, and then Elena and Nate. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would probably go Thieves' End, Among Thieves, Drake's Deception, Drake's Fortune.
Yeah. All 4 are fabulous games.
Go play them if you haven't played them in order. But if you're listening to this at this point, then it's ruined.
Yeah, if you're listening at this point, go play
The Last of Us. Go play The Last of Us.
We actually spoiled The Last of Us in this, too.
We did?
We kind of did. We talked about some of it.
We talked about the Fireflies.
Yeah.
They're bad people.
Well, is there anything else you have to say about Uncharted 4 before we cap this bitch off?
We didn't really talk about the multiplayer besides the fact that it's
That's
just
right.
fun.
No, yeah, the multiplayer. I've sunk an hour or 2 into it.
Same.
It's fun.
It is fun. It's just it combines everything kind of from the games, like the mechanics and stuff like that, and then you just go at each other. It's fun.
Like I said, I like the arcadey aspect of it. It's fun. It's quick. I can jump into a match. I feel like it's one of those things where I could come home at the end of the day and be like, I'll play a couple matches before bed.
Sure.
Just have fun. I like...
It reminded me a lot of GoldenEye, and I texted you about that. Just how fun that multiplayer was.
And GoldenEye was fun, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. The golden gun.
At first...
Everyone's like, no!
No, not the golden gun!
Someone's got the golden gun, run!
At first, I was a little irritated with the whole Uncharted currency thing. But that wasn't until I realized the differences between the Uncharted points and the Relic points. Because at the beginning I was just like, oh, okay, well, this is a little cheap. But, Naughty Dog didn't lie to us. They talked about how everything is available through gameplay, and I believe them, and they're sticking to their guns. They're going to give us maps and characters.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, it's, you got to play to get the stuff that you want. And I do think that, within the first 5 loot drops that I did with the relics, I got a new character, I got 3 new taunts, a bunch of skins, and I was happy with the work that I put in to get that stuff.
When we finish the show, I think I'm going to pop that in there and go buy something, go buy a chest.
Oh, yeah.
Just to see what we get. Fingers crossed for Chloe.
Fingers crossed. Chloe and Cutter, those are the 2.
I would like to play as Navarro, too, the villain from the first one.
Yeah, you can also get Tenzin.
Oh, does he have the hat? That's what I want. All right, that's the one that I want the most. Does he have his machete, too?
I think so. I'm going to try to remember.
You probably don't use it, but if it's there, whew. Fan service.
So, Uncharted 4.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 for me.
Radiovania official, fresh.
Fresh rating. All right, well, that's it for us for this week. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email the show at radiovaniashow@gmail.com. You can email your questions, comments, and concerns. You can tweet me at Zach Rotillo or at Radiovania, and you can tweet this sexy bastard over here at @JohnParker.
Yo.
If you wouldn't mind, go to iTunes or whatever podcast service you use and give us a rating, subscribe, 5-star review, whatever you want to do. It helps us out, helps us get the word out. And
let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about.
Yeah. We're probably going to be starting to plan E3 up here. So if there's any importances and any video games you want to see.
We'll have the E3 coming up, and then X-Men Apocalypse pre and post show will be coming up soon. And then I think we should try and squeeze another late night in there sometime.
We have to, yeah. And
I think for that one, I have an interesting idea of doing all top 10s where you come up with your list beforehand and then we just kind of swap.
Okay.
And count down.
I think that'd be a great idea. Well, thank you, John.
It's
been a pleasure.
Always.
All right. See you guys.